Imagine a world with no schools, no homework, no report cards, yet somehow every single kid grew up knowing exactly how to survive. So how did ancient humans raise their children? Without a single classroom, textbook, or teacher? The answer is simple. Life itself was the lesson. Every hunt, every fire, every tool was a walking, talking classroom. Step into any cave, and you'd find the curriculum painted right onto the walls. But don't get it twisted. These kids weren't just playing around. Survival had real consequences, and mistakes got corrected fast. Let's start at the very beginning. A baby is born into a hunter-gatherer band. From day one, that child is almost never alone. There's no daycare, no babysitter app. Instead, there's the whole tribe. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, and older kids all share the job of raising every child. Anthropologists call this alloparenting. In some hunter-gatherer societies, a child might be cared for by over a dozen different people before they turn one. This meant kids grew up constantly watching adults, and watching was the first and most powerful lesson of all. Toddlers would sit beside their mothers as they wove baskets, ground seeds, or prepared food, absorbing the rhythm of the work long before they could do it themselves. By the time a child could walk, they were already mimicking. A 3-year-old pretending to chop wood. A 4-year-old copying how dad throws a spear. This is called observational learning, and it's incredibly efficient. No instructions needed. Just eyes, hands, and repetition. Now let's talk about play, because ancient kids played constantly. But here's the twist. Their games were practice for real life. Mock hunts where kids stalked imaginary animals. Pretend fires built with sticks. Tiny bows for tiny hands. Every game quietly built a real skill. Among the Aka people of Central Africa, researchers found that children as young as 4 were already practicing with miniature versions of real tools. And it wasn't just boys learning to hunt. Girls learned to track plants, identify which berries were safe, and which roots could heal a fever. This knowledge was massive. In some cultures, children needed to memorize hundreds of plant species, their seasons, their uses, and their dangers. So how do you teach hundreds of facts without writing anything down? If you turn them into stories, oral storytelling wasn't just entertainment. Myths and legends were packed with survival information, hidden inside characters and plots. A story about a trickster fox might secretly teach which animals are dangerous. A legend about the stars might double as a map for navigation. Kids who could remember these stories could remember the lessons inside them, word for word, generation after generation. Now here's where it gets interesting. Ancient education wasn't one size fits all. It was personalized, way before anyone coined that word. Each child was paired, informally, with whichever adult had a skill worth passing on. Good with a bow? You'd shadow the best hunter. Good with herbs? You'd follow the healer. This is basically apprenticeship, and it meant kids weren't forced to learn everything. They specialized early, based on interest and ability. Mistakes were part of the process, too. If a kid's spear throw went wide, an elder might just laugh, reset their grip, and let them try again. There was no shame in failing. Failing was just part of practicing, but it wasn't all gentle guidance. Some cultures had formal tests, big ones, called rites of passage. Around the world, when a child reached a certain age, they go through a ceremony that marked the jump into adulthood. For some, it meant a solo journey into the wilderness. For others, it meant proving they could hunt, build a shelter, or survive a night alone. These rites weren't just tradition for tradition's sake. They were final exams, except instead of a grade, you got full membership in the tribe. Now let's zoom out and look at a few real examples. Take the Sand people of the Kalahari Desert. Sand children would spend hours simply tracking animal footprints in the sand, alongside adults, learning to read the ground like a book. Or take Inuit communities in the Arctic. Children learned to read ice, wind, and snow, skills that could mean life or death. A misjudged patch of ice wasn't a failed quiz. It was a real danger. So Inuit elders made sure kids learned through direct